Welcome, everybody, back to Spitballing Cards. Today, I am sitting in Scott's chair. This is Jeff, and today we've got Filmington, Chris, baseball card addict, and Teapot joining me today. And we've got a lot of things to talk about, notably the biggest event in the hobby, which just happened, the National. Two of us here on the screen went to the National, and we're going to get a full report from Filmington and Ty. So kick us off, Phil. What did you think of the National in Cleveland?
Well, I thought it was awesome. And I know a lot of the early feedback was pretty negative about the traffic situation, commuting, and also at one point I think they ran out of parking spaces, which is pretty crazy. There were some reports, Twitter or articles or whatever today's equivalent is of a news article from the town being like, "Oh, we can't get anything right." So clearly, the last time that the National was held in Cleveland, there were far fewer people. Personally, I didn't really find it was that much different than the last few years. It just seems like, and maybe the event keeps on getting bigger and bigger. I didn't feel like the conference center was too small. When you actually got inside, that's when the fun started. The AC was working, air conditioner was working better than it has been in probably 3 or 4 years. I did have some Wi-Fi issues, but that's not because of the conference center. It's always going to be really shoddy, and so is cell phone reception. I had Wi-Fi issues because of another embarrassing reason. My dad wanted to make us some money by switching our family plan to Xfinity. Does any of our viewers use Xfinity for phone coverage for cell phones? I didn't think so. You basically get the leftovers after Verizon. So I had issues, and I had to walk in the grass far, far away to find an Uber and pay for surges too because of the sort of traffic situation. I stayed downtown. I love downtown Cleveland. It's, well, of all of the other areas, it's probably one of my favorite for like vibes. Maybe not safety. I think Rosemont and Chicago would be the safest of the three. And some of our viewers aren't going to like that, but it is what it is, guys. I felt safe. Inconvenience factor. Maybe next time I would stay at an Airbnb. Money goes a long way in Cleveland, guys, even post-inflation in 2024. Food I felt was pretty cheap. Ubers were not, but the hotel room was kind of expensive because it was in downtown. But some of these Airbnbs I saw, like John Mangini and a bunch of his friends stayed at one, and it looked like a wild time. They had a jacuzzi, foosball table. I don't know if I'd be using that, but a lot of people came up to me and Ty as well, complimenting us about our work, saying thank you. Before I could even ask, like, "Oh, what's your name?" They like walked away. They just wanted to thank. Just one of those unconditional, pay it forward. I don't want to get anything back. Like, oh, thanks. There's actually a guy named Evan who approached me, and I told Teapot this story. But Evan said that he was trying to get Greg Amsinger's attention, who's one of the main hosts on MLB Network, and he's the main host of the MLB Network card show, Card It. That's fairly new. And he was going to ask Greg to interview us as part of the show. But right before he could get his hand on his shoulder, one of Greg's guys tapped him saying that Dylan Cease completed the no-hitter. So I had a great show. I picked up a card. I'll show it later. Yeah, good times, good vibes overall. I'm just here for the vibes.
Great. I appreciate that report from afar. It sounded like initially, especially Wednesday and Thursday, there were some traffic issues and congestion issues, but it sounded like once people got in, the vibes were great. Teapot, what did you think?
I would say things definitely got better as the show went on. Day over day, they seemed to figure some things out. I'll just kind of chronicle what it was like from my side. We got in Monday, so I flew in Monday with my team with a bunch of the people from SCI, and that was just so we could make sure that we were there on time because we got there at 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning to start doing our booth setup, which is a multiple-hour project, and we waited until almost 3 o'clock to get our pallets. They lost our pallets. They didn't know where they were. They said they had been delivered. We had four pallets packed with stuff that we needed to unload and set up. And they said that, well, we know they were here, but then they had to move them because the carpet wasn't installed yet. And then, oh, by the way, we didn't install your carpet pad that you paid for. And we had paid for internet at our booth that didn't work the entire time that we were there, which was not cheap whatsoever. So we were pushing into when they basically closed the center down that evening. and they were like kicking people out. So you'd think if people need to be ready to set up for the show, which starts on Wednesday, that you'd want people to make sure they have time to set up, especially if you couldn't find their pallets. But they gave us the boot and closed the place down. So we had to go back Wednesday morning and finish the setup. And I was shocked the first day because I was initially only aware of one men's bathroom that had a whopping 4 stalls and 5 urinals in it, thinking about 100,000 sweaty, unpolished, some cases, men who do unspeakable things in bathrooms coming through 4 stalls and 5 urinals was pretty terrifying, frankly. Lo and behold, there was another bathroom, which you had to wait in line to go down into a basement for. This building, the IX Center, was like a former bomb factory. It actually is 9 floors deep. It goes down into the earth, and every floor is as big as the main floor was. So old building, not the worst vibe inside, honestly, like on the main floor. They did have carpet. You can see a lot of videos on Instagram of it, or on the, sports card investor videos. But so it didn't have a terrible feeling for it. The lighting was pretty decent. There were some things I really liked about it. There was a lot of seating this year. That's something they never have in Chicago. There's barely anywhere to sit. In this case, there was like a whole center aisle that they had seating. And then they had food trucks set up. The food trucks were not great options, especially, for somebody like me. I can't have gluten. It tears me up, destroys my guts. And there wasn't really anything to eat that wasn't fried or breaded or sandwich. And then I heard people were waiting in line for like an hour and a half to basically get a hot dog. So that whole process could have gone a lot faster. The internet was a major problem throughout the show for a lot of people. The Stripe machines, the internet basically disconnected from all of the local Stripe credit card processing for the food trucks. So then they were having to do cash only, or like manually punch in numbers, I guess, which slowed things down a lot. And obviously people just want to be able to check their comps and, check card prices and make sure they're not getting a bad deal. We were there trying to show off market movers and demo the product. And we had, challenges with that off and on. So that was kind of frustrating. The show definitely felt a lot smaller to me. I heard it was a third smaller than Rosemont, than the Donald Sloan Stevens, whatever the place is called. Yeah. It felt a lot smaller to me. I get turned around in Chicago, and I've been there twice. Last year, they opened up an entire new room that I didn't even know existed. Mm-hmm. And I got turned around a lot. And the corporate booths last year, the activations were very, very large in Chicago. Everybody this year was forced to dial it in. We couldn't get space as big as we had last year, including this Card Kids trade zone that we sponsor every year, which is just packed with 16 and unders, all wheeling and dealing, spilling out into the aisles. So, that would have been nice to have more room. It basically just felt like Cleveland, and Jeff said this in a video that we recorded, that Cleveland just doesn't have the infrastructure, nor did the building have the size or the capacity to support what the National has become and how many people want to go to that. It was a really, really, really big challenge the first 2 days to get in and out. Wednesday, when the show ended, which was later in the evening, it pushed a little later on Wednesday. It started later and went later. It took me an hour and a half just to get onto the shuttle bus to go back to the hotel. And when I came outside, I could see the bus, like it was waiting to come in. And it just took that long to get all the way through and out. And then it took another 20 minutes to get to our hotel. So the amount of time wasted trying to come and go just to drive, when you compare that to Chicago, where you can literally walk out of the center and go right to dinner or go back to your hotel room across the street, take a shower, go out and eat, go out to the bars, do whatever you want, go find trade night, whatever you want to do, it's all there. To me, it really killed the vibe. Like half of the SCI team was in a completely different hotel. So we never saw them like after hours. Whereas I would see everybody from my company, as well as many others, frequently in the hotels around the areas. Everything's very walkable in Chicago. So we'll see next year. I think it's going to set records again. The vibe was very, very strong in terms of like positivity around cards. And I know our last episode, we talked about the concerns around wax, but like overall, I left incredibly energetic and very optimistic about the energy of the hobby overall. Doesn't seem like people are getting bored with it. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways to participate. There's new companies still obviously trying to make a name for themselves. But there was a lot of wheeling and dealing, a lot of a lot of kids who are really enthusiastic about it, and some who are just really into collecting. And then, Phil alluded to this, but I had probably just as many people come up and say, "Hey, I love Spitballing Cards," as I did, "Hey, I love Market Movers," or "I love SCI." Like, that was really cool. So obviously, we always enjoy reading the comments on this show. The subscriber count has been growing, which, by the way, if you're not subscribed, please do. And people are really digging it. So, kudos to you guys and to Scott, who's not here, because it's been a lot of fun doing the show, and we got a lot of really good positive feedback on there. So hopefully you guys hear the same the next time you're at Burbank.
Great to hear. Really appreciate that. As I understand now, the next 3 years are in Chicago. Is that for the National? The next 3 years are in Chicago, and then after that, is it still up in the air, Phil?
Ty might know more than me, but yeah, up in the air right
now. That's the plan. Is the next 3 are in Chicago for sure. That's locked in. There was that little scare we had earlier this year when they said it's going to be in Atlantic City. Atlantic City actually announced it was going to be in Atlantic City, and then they were like, "Psych,"
on their webpage, right?
Yeah, on their webpage. So it is in Chicago the next 3 years, and then from what I understand, after that, it's still up in the air. But there's other convention centers that are bigger in Orlando and Vegas. Somebody told me there's one in Phoenix that's big enough. From what I understand, there's only like 10 or 15 conference centers in the US that would be big enough or bigger than Rosemont. So there's, the options are somewhat limited. And especially if you're trying to lock in that same weekend every year, I don't know how many years out you need to plan that and have that locked in, or, start accounting for that. But
yeah, it sure would be fun if they decided to come west of the Mississippi again. I know Fanatics Fest is upcoming in New York in a couple weeks, and it'll be interesting to see how that differs from the National. I know it's not just collector focused, so that'll be interesting to see what the dynamic is there and how much Fanatics tries to get involved in the National going forward. I know the National's it's a nonprofit group that runs it. I'm not sure how much incentive they have to make any sort of really positive changes to the event, but I'm hoping that maybe seeing Fanatics Fest will prime them to make some forward movement in that regard.
There were several other there were other trade nights, first of all, like that were set up formally. There was a soccer trade night, there was an F1 trade night, there were like spot specific trade nights at hotels that were coordinated, which was kind of cool. But there was an entirely separate card show that was set up that ran from 6 p.m. until 1 a.m. at another hotel. And it was for all the dealers who were basically not able to get booths at the show, some of whom were really notable. And then even some of the like corporate sponsors like Zion Cases and others, from what I understand, like also set up at that show. So they were like running both places. But it had a lot to do with the fact that the people who are grandfathered in at the show are able to just keep their booth year over year. As long as they maintain it, they lock in their booth, and then they put the kibosh on selling booth space, or even just like let's say I had a booth and I was set up. Jeff, you couldn't have come and set up at the booth with me. They like didn't want anybody doing that, which is sort of like, why does it matter? You want as many cards as possible.
I was going to bring that up, Ty. That was made such a huge deal was made of that. I think that was in May or June that the National really came down on that. So a lot of dealers that were all prepped and ready to go were essentially out in the cold because they could no longer sublet their tables. So did you notice that there were tables that didn't have cards or didn't have as many cards as one would think?
Yes, I did. And then there's also like still those booths that have like antique glassware and random things too, where you're like, I guess, but like, this isn't why people are here. And I remember as I was walking the booth floor, because they lost our pallets again when we were trying to pack up for the day, I was out looking for it. I saw somebody like, God bless them, some older couple, just like hand wrapping and bubble wrap all these little like fragile glasses and things to like put them away. And I'm like, I think that's where people are going. That's just not the vibe of the National anymore, or at least not what people are looking for. This isn't like Antiques Roadshow or, something like that, or a flea market. This is the National. And when you've got Fanatics Fest looming around the corner, I guarantee you there's not going to be, Grandma Betty like with little like antique glasses out at Fanatics Fest. It's not going to be the case. So, yeah, it was there was a I felt, I don't know, Phil, what your read on the room was. I honestly didn't get a ton of time to go walk around and actually look for cards. I made a few passes around the show floor, and I had a number of meetings that kind of took me back and forth to different places. But I saw a lot of high end booths, like very, very high end, 4, 5, 6, 7-figure cards like out that I was like, okay, that's not something I'm even going to slow down to look at other than just appreciate the cards. And then there was a ton of vintage. And then there was a lot of the like sea of ultra modern parallels that I just like, really couldn't care less about in terms of like the saturation, and not a lot of short print image variations, not a lot of like unique case hits, not a lot of the kind of iconic rookie cards that you might be looking for any guy from 2018 and prior, like not a lot of that stuff. And then occasionally I'd stumble across a really cool 90s booth and find stuff that I was interested in. And some of it was like 3X comps. And it's like, I'm not even going to waste my time. Like the first card I check is literally 3 times more than what the card should be. Or you're saying it's a PSA 10 of a nice, flare card that in raw condition goes $15 to $20 and you want $300 for it. Like I'm just going to keep moving in that. So when I had to record a video for the Market Movers channel, I barely found anything I was even interested in an hour and a half of walking around the show floor to make a move on. So in that regard, I was a little bit disappointed. I didn't come home with too many cards.
Yeah,
Phil,
I
how
would.
did you find prices? Because I had heard that as a complaint too. And of course, dealers are going to have overhead. They're going to expect to make more there. But how did you find prices overall?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain tables that during very busy times, busy meaning Thursday from 11 to 3 o'clock, or Friday pretty much all day, or Saturday for most of the day. If there are tables during those times that have very little attention, then you kind of know to keep walking. And to Ty's point, if you see a table that has 1, maybe 3 cards that are very overpriced, the first 3 you see, you just know like, that's off, that's off, that's off. Then just keep on walking. Don't look at the rest of what they have. But there were some people willing to deal. I did pick up, and before I show this, the quality of tables, I think, was down a little bit because of what Ty's saying, because of them forcing certain people out that had like a half table, half booth arrangement, people that weren't didn't have the seniority going back to 1985 to set up at the National. The fact that a lot of those guys got excluded, and a lot of the people that got into the hobby in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, they have some of the nicest stuff, like DA Captain 37, who was probably at that official trade night that got shut down by the fire marshals. That's the same one, right? That was at the Aviator Hotel on Wednesday. I don't know if we're talking about the same one, but yeah, there were a lot of trade nights. My one regret was not going to a trade night. That would have been cool, even though I'm not really into the whole haggling. I can only do like 6 hours of card stuff, negotiating in a day, and then I kind of get worn down, and I just want to kind of enjoy Cleveland, and hang out with some friends. So prices, just like any show, some dealers will work with you, some won't. The card that I picked up, Christian Finch, I think. He's in the Old School Facebook group, and I did another deal with him in the past. He had this card, and I saw it after. It's a PSA 10. You want to make me big?
Make them big. Make them big.
Make me big. Make me big. Come on. People need to see this. They haven't seen this card before. It's only a pop 5 million. This is the Tiffany version, though. So only a pop 4 something. Nicely centered. The back didn't have the edge wear or the corner issues of another one that was at a table next to him. So I was able to kind of use the two dealers, kind of gave him the same offer. One was priced at $6,200. One was priced at $6,000. I said $5,500. I was willing to pay really up to $6,000 because the last comp is a little bit higher and he's on the upward trajectory. And I actually paid $50 more for the one in the old label. That's better centered with a nicer back. So it's all about the condition, right? The eye appeal and all that stuff. And maybe I'll get a new label on this, even though it's going to keep the original cert. That's 22 million. So it's pretty old.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can talk about the investment thesis and some of the downside risks for Barry Bonds in a later episode. Some of the things that piss me off about the National. So Ty was mentioning the internet issues. That was mostly specific to vendors who are wired in their Ethernet access got like, they paid extra money for that. I know Ty doesn't want to say it. He's trying to be polite. And it like went down for a long period. And it disrupted my ability to do something as well. I did a good job because I avoided all of the food trucks. I brought 9 protein bars and I ate 8 of them. So I know that it's not thrilling for people to not have a lunch that's, not lukewarm or hot or anything, but that worked for me. So what pissed me off was the silver pack situation. So Topps Rapper Redemption every year, or at least since I've been going to the national, they will have a certain amount of promotional silver packs, and they've got them for multiple sports now. And Panini's got their own version of this as well. And these packs you can get by buying hobby boxes from basically anywhere in the show floor. Or actually, you don't even need to buy them. You could technically bring a case from home if you really wanted to. And what they do is you wait in the Topps line and they shred open your boxes and they give you a pack for each box. So what happened this year was everybody selling wax was sort of front running this. They're getting a little bit smarter about this. They understand the value that's in the silver packs. They understand the products that are eligible for this program. So between Wednesday to Thursday, I first got to show on Wednesday, Top Series 2 and Top Series 1 went from like 125 to like 150 a box, a hobby box that sells for like 110, 115 on eBay was selling for 150 just because you get like a silver pack that's worth like 75, 80 bucks right now. And then you've got to pay the eBay fees and everything. So they're trying to take half that profit off you, which is a smart business move because they're still selling it, right? So why not, I guess? And everybody else is doing the same thing. You might as well just gouge the customers. So I bought some Bowman jumbos, and some Series 2. I was pissed off because Topps Chrome, which to my knowledge, as long as it's out by the time the national comes, that's always been part of the program. And I've been waiting to buy that. And no dice. It wasn't part of it. But in the Fanatics event coming up in New York, they're going to have some special Topps Chrome exclusive thing they're doing. So it makes me wonder, like, how much joy is Fanatics going to sap away from the national over the years, and how gradual is it going to be to entice people to come to their event, because they ultimately control this promotion. So they don't have to do it at all for the national if they don't want to. So it makes me wonder, like, does it make sense for me to like book my trip for next year? Should I wait? I've gone to 5 nationals in a row. I don't mind Chicago. And another thing is the rooftop event that we had on Friday was awesome. And I feel like we can't top that. It was great. A lot of people came to it. This guy, Chase Poddot, he told me that I speak like a lawyer. I guess his dad's a lawyer. I guess that's a good thing. So a lot of great conversations like that. A lot of great compliments. Got my ego going. So that was an awesome time. A day before that, you guys probably know Baseball Collector from YouTube, Mike Moynihan, and he's part of Chasing Cardboard. You guys know Chasing Cardboard. Yep. And I know Ty knows him. So he held another YouTube get together, and it hit like there must have been like 120 people. In the picture alone, there were probably close to 100. I would show it, but it's not on his Instagram right now that I can see. But that was an insane time, just like meeting up with a bunch of, that was more like YouTube specific, but Dr. Beckett was there talking to people and stuff. So a lot of cool hangouts. It's not just about the cards for me, but yeah, I had a great time. Just don't know if I want to go again next year. Maybe I'll take 1 year off, score some points with the family and the wife.
All right. Well, we'll stay tuned for that. Teapot, did you pick anything up?
I got just a few cards, just a few. So let me see. I'll make myself full screen here. First one is technically not a first, though it is out of 2020. Guy named Mike Ham came up to me while I was recording a video, and he had a couple cards. This was one of them. So it's a Scooble the Blue to 150 on card Mojo Mega Box Auto. And then this one's really cool. Riley Green, orange out of 25.
Yeah.
So we struck a deal for those two, which was cool. 2 really nice cards to add to my PC. And then I didn't expect to find this, and I even said as much in the video, and then I did. So this was the one score from it, but it was it's the
Ooh.
One of one Freddie Freeman. Sorry, the lighting's so bad in my office, but this is him, beating the tag into home, sliding. Great image as always with Stadium Club. This is 2020. You can see the one of one on the back. So
yeah, one.
Picked that one up. Was pretty happy with that ad, and that was pretty much it for notable ads.
While you're big teapot, I've just got to say we've gotten a lot of compliments about your decor, and the you can really see it now. All this,
the ever expanding.
Yeah, so these shelves, I've got a little mix of stuff. So I've got show your slabs. Sent me some stuff on the back there, which is pretty cool. And then I actually just found these. I've got some right here. These cheap acrylic shelves on Amazon. There's some different brands and different sizes. And I just bought some like 3M Command Velcro strips that I put on the back and just try to make sure they're level. And the goal is to just fill in the walls all around and then actually to organize the cards. Some of them are organized. Some of them are just put up to fill in space. So, but it's,
it looks great. It's a lot less like Harry Potter kind of under the staircase type feel that it had at the beginning. It looks good.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed hearing about like your time there. The fact that it wasn't like more centralized is just crazy to me. Like Jeff and I walked from our hotel to the Burbank show, and then from the Burbank show, like out for drinks and dinner after, and like that just seems nuts to be Ubering around because you're just going to get crushed with surge prices and stuff like that.
I think that's probably the part that was if I have one grievance, that's what it was. It was just that you have to drive and you got to wait to get in. There was like a back way through, like a nature preserve that you could tell your Uber or Lyft driver, like basically a different route. And so like people started to figure it out. There was also a bathroom down a separate private ramp in the VIP area that people didn't really know about. I ran into Ozzie Smith in the bathroom, which was pretty cool. I was like 90% sure it was him, but I hadn't seen him in a few years. And I didn't want to be that guy and call some guy who wasn't Ozzie Smith. So I didn't say anything. Probably would have just said like, "Hey, good to see you, Wizard," something like that. But I walked out and then immediately was on my phone and was like, okay, that was him. I ran into Michael Rubin in the bathroom down there. It was kind of like a hidden away spot that I don't think a lot of people knew about. So that I could actually make it to the bathroom in a timely manner and not have to wait 30 minutes. But the first night we tried to go out to dinner, so that same night that we waited like 90 minutes just to get out of the parking lot, I got home, we took a shower, or back to the hotel, I should say, took a shower, and then we tried to go walk down the street to Chili's, and they were like out of food. They were like, it's going to be 15 to 45 minutes before you're seated, and then don't expect to get your food any fast because we only have a couple cooks working tonight, and we're out of almost everything. It was like, okay. So we went out to another restaurant, and I got like this sandpaper pizza, and it was just the food scene around North Olmsted, where our hotel was not exactly stellar. We did have an awesome member happy hour for market movers at a local brewery, Fatheads Brewery. That was a lot of fun. Probably the most memorable member happy hour we've done, and we've done 4 of those now. So that was really cool. But it was kind of a mixed bag, overall. A great week, typical, like tons of energy, exhausting, fun, great talking to people and interacting. And that's the part I enjoy the most, honestly. When I go to the National, I just like seeing people, shaking hands, taking pictures, seeing what other people are picking up is really cool. I always enjoy that. So I had a great time. I just think it just can't ever go back to Cleveland. Not if it's the size that it is. It just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, so I had a better food experience because I was planned and staying downtown. There's a steakhouse called Marble Room Steaks, top steakhouse, maybe top restaurant by most people's standards, but it's certainly up there on Yelp. And we went there Wednesday, and it was amazing. The only issue was with 3 guys that don't eat seafood, they don't eat duck spring rolls, they don't do oysters, sushi. So we had to be a little selective with the appetizers, but it's okay. I had my salmon earlier that day. And
you have a
I think with
bar,
me,
you're fine, Phil. You're good.
Yeah. I think with me, what helped was coming in and out, not during peak times. I would try to except for the first day, I would try to get to the show a little bit later or leave a little bit earlier or a little bit of both, versus like waiting till 6 for things to get really hectic. Coming in seemed to be worse than getting out for a lot of people. I didn't rely on any shuttles. Actually, cool story maybe. For my second full day, so on Thursday downstairs, I'm like, I don't want to take another $80 Uber. So I see a guy with a case. He's a good-looking man, so maybe he's not into cards. Fit, kind of looks like Jimmy Garoppolo, but not a complete loser. And I go up to him.
My concern about this story is rising at an alarming rate, Phil. I got to be honest.
And I go up to him like, hey, you going to the show too? He didn't have the badge or anything, but he's like, oh, I'm actually waiting for my car right now. And I'm like, ooh, this guy valeted at the hotel. All right, so he's got a car. Even better than waiting for an Uber, right? I can be in the front seat. And then I'm like, hey, any chance? And I showed him my app, like to get some pity, like any chance, like I can give you $20 to come. And like these situations are always weird because usually the people that accept these offers don't actually end up taking your money. So then I feel even more weird, like taking advantage of this person. But he took the $20, which is good. Drove me down. Turns out, hopefully he's not watching, but a 30-year-old kid drove from Buffalo, and dude, he was driving like a brand new $80,000 BMW X5, like M class, and it's still the new car smell. Talk about a great experience, great talk all the way down, super positive guy, kind of like Scott, not like any of us here. I'm just kidding, but maybe a little bit like Jeff. Just like talking about his Josh Allen PC and how like, he bought some cards of him and how like, he's hoping for him to, get to like that Pat Mahomes level and what he needs to do. And just like, and he was a baseball guy too. So obviously that kept me occupied. And then we went the shortcut way. So we didn't have to wait at all. Got right in because the time we came was a little bit later. But that was a blast. One thing I will mention, to completely go in a different direction. So Ty was talking about people with like really crappy setups and kind of wasting space. I hope this doesn't rub people the wrong way, but I'm noticing this more and more. The last couple nationals, probably. People that have full tables that are just like 40s and 50s, well, let's say 50s, 60s, and 70s vintage, and none of it's graded.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not super rare because it's not like, pre-war. And it's a lot of the stuff's like beat up and type of thing where like these old people, they don't even know what the conditions are. And I've talked to some of these guys before at local shows, and they're like, if that's not a 7, then I don't know what is. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna walk away now. Like, good people and all, but is there a metaphor for this? Is this no different than somebody with a CT scanner with selling like 20 loose hobby boxes with like a sign that says these don't have any hits in them? Like, what's the point in a post-Kurtz card care world of buying that crap? Like, it's already been soaked to the moon. And if it hasn't, you're an idiot. Just do it already, because people are going to assume you already have. It's probably part of the reason for, if you look at Card Ladder or Market Mover comps, you look at like the 52 Tops of Mantle, like the cards that have done okay over the last few years, it's the lowest grade stuff. Because the other stuff, can you really trust? So not to knock on high grade vintage. Now I'm going after all of it, but modern sucks too. So modern, you're an idiot if you buy that stuff. But I've got some cards to show actually. And then we won't make a third episode this week. Oop, wrong guy. How do I do this?
I don't have anything to show. Sorry to say.
I've got some cards to show guys actually that I haven't shown yet. So talking about high prices, maybe it's because I don't know how to do this like dumpster, bargain box diving stuff. So 4-Leaf, who's a guy who's on YouTube, really great guy, known him for a few years, since like 2018 probably. And he was doing this contest where he was giving out $5 bills at Mike baseball collectors event at the American Legion. And he was giving out $5 bills for people to pick up cards at the National. And my envelope actually got $10. And we basically give him the card, and he does this like thing where it's like sort of like a Secret Santa, I think, where it gets randomized. So I'm traveling around the show, walking for like 3 hours trying to find a decent deal for $10. And it was really hard to do so, guys. Like I ended up finding somebody's $5 box, and Mike Harris base rookies from Topps Chrome were in that. Like that can't be worth anything close to $5. And it said like you need to get 10 of these to get one for free. So I couldn't even like get these for like $1. Like, I don't know. So, I felt bad. Maybe I could have. So basically I asked if I could get 3 for $10, even though they're marked at 5. He said yes. And whatever. So one of the cards I picked up was this for my daughter. She's a big fan of cars and cars. Lightning McQueen parallel, number 399. So that was $10. Some other stuff I got. This was the custom card that was given out at my my get together at Metropolitan at the 9, which was sweet. This is the custom Hawk Tua card. Too easy, top right. And these were numbered. There were like 4 or 5 different parallels. So of course, the kid with a horseshoe up his you-know-what pulls the 1 of 1 right away. And we can't tell anyone that the 1 of 1's already been pulled. Some other cards that I got. We got Laura Golden Touch. This one was actually featured. I think Paul Lesko shared this one somehow. I don't know how he got it, and it was featured on Sports Card Radio's recent video. But this is shout out to Kurt's Card Care, NorCal Sports Cards, on the in the PSA room after getting it graded. The Wemby one. Yeah. Got a Caitlin Clark Notorious Flopper card.
Oh,
sure ties in all of that one. We got a Ipe Mizuhara Degenerate Gambler.
Are you going to get that autographed?
That's a good question. But I know that this set only has 1 card. Otani is not in it. We've got Card Porn, Juan Garcia, former hobby watchdog. Like that one. It's a nice one. Michael Rubin, White Party.
Oh, I like that. What is that?
85 Donruss right there. Yeah.
85 Donruss. That's right. Yeah. Some Taylor Swift card. I don't know. Abracadabra. Is there a joke here that I missed?
I think that's when he popped out at the show.
I should have known that. Then a Filmington Multipliers. Cannibalization. This guy that made this custom card makes fun of me whenever I say the word cannibalization. And I often say it in the context of Bowman Chrome. So that's it for me.
You're a true cannibal. Actually, even though Chris and I didn't go to the National, we do have something to show. Chris, you want to set this up?
Yeah, I'm our missing fellow Spitballer was going after a Grail card, and we were happy to help him raise some funds by taking a nice Freddie Freeman off his hands. And I think Jeff can show a picture of it, or
I'm trying to pull it up. Yes.
Is my screen clear?
I'm sharing it.
Okay.
Somebody wants to share it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this is the Freddie Freeman finest purple refractor. These are numbered out of 5. I could go on and on about the 2011 finest set. I won't. But it's just fantastic. If you guys PC anyone who might be on this checklist, take a look. These cards are gorgeous. The parallels there's so much color. It's probably one of the best designs Topps has come up with in the last like 15, 20 years. So yeah, this is a great, really rare, low numbered Freeman. Jeff and I were fortunate enough about 2 years ago to get the purple auto. So now we've been able to pair it with a non-auto. So those will look really nice together.
Nice.
In a box in the dark.
Yeah, that's right. Staying out of the sun.
I have one more cool thing I'm going to grab. You guys keep talking because I thought this was kind of neat too, but I got to grab it.
Yeah, good. Okay. Phil, I got to be honest. I've been haunted since you talked about it. But the idea of taking like a handful of people from one of these giant shows who have just spent the day like eating fried food with limited access to bathrooms and then getting into a jacuzzi with these people, like that my skin is like crawling. I'm like shivering. That's literally has been haunting me since you said it. So I hope you avoided that particular scenario. Even if your joints were sore, I don't think it's worth
comment.
Your pink eye is not a good one.
What do you got?
I'm going to show one more thing. So I know some of you may have different opinions about tag grading, differing opinions. I, for one, really like the noble mission of trying to do consistent grading. And they were doing something cool on site. And actually, I thought this was sort of universally appreciated by a lot of people. And that was that they were doing custom cards. You could airdrop them in a picture from your phone, and then they were like slabbing them up. So I was able to get these like kind of cracked ice pictures of my kids and bring them home.
Awesome.
So they did it, and their slabs just. I love their slabs personally. They're like CGC. They're very clear. They're rounded, So I got one of each of my crew, all 4 of these mini teapots.
That's so cool.
That was pretty cool. And then I snatched one from my mom to send her one. It was her with my 2 oldest from her last visit here. So that was cool. People were getting them of their pets and their kids and themselves at weddings and things like that. And there was a line for that pretty consistently. So I thought those were cool. Nice touch.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Great
now
idea.
Now that HEA is accepting new submissions, maybe I'll consider tags. Can you send me the website information, Teapot? Actually, I do like tag. I say that as a joke, but I think they do good things. And sometimes it's all about timing of when you get in the market of something new. And CGC was a little bit late. Tag was even later. So I hope they can stick around, especially now that PSA and SEC are combined and Beckett is, to me, pretty much dead. Yeah. Sorry, commenters.
There needs to be some competition. I know the hearts are breaking all over the land. Filmington, as they're hearing, you might not be hosting a rooftop party next year. So maybe there'll be some reconsideration between now and Chicago. But in the interim, are either of you guys going to Fanatics Fest?
I was hoping to go, but also it's good for me to stay home since it's so close to the National. I was just gone for 8 days from the fam. And I know from SCI, they're taking a pretty lean crew. Jeff's going, and then a couple of the video people, as well as our sponsorship community partnership manager is going, and I think that's it. Our Cards HQ guys are setting up there to go buy, and they had, by the way, a fantastic National. Just as an aside, they had a line of 20 to 40 people constantly waiting to sell them cards. So they were buying the entire time nonstop. They're going to set up, but I will not be there, but they'll be doing content. So I think everybody will be able to get a good glimpse of what it's like too through the SCI videos that get put out.
Great.
Yeah, I won't be there. Not my scene, not this time, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see for future years.
Yeah. I'd really like to go to the one at PNC in Pittsburgh. Like I'd almost rather go to that one because it's supposed to be more of like a card show than like a fan experience. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get a chance to go up there for that one.
Or you guys can just come out to the Burbank show.
Hey,
see me and Chris in August.
I did enjoy that. I won't be at that one, but maybe next spring, or they do one like in February or something too, right?
February and August.
Yeah.
Great weather in that part of the world. I spent a lot of time in Pasadena, but Dallas is closer to me, so I don't know. I don't know about the value prop going to Burbank for me. But
I get it. It's a long way. Yeah, I get it. All right. Well, that's a good spot to wrap it up. Thank you, Phil and Teapot, for filling us in about the National. If anybody in the any viewers, please put in the comments what your National experience was. If you were similar to Phil and Ty, if you are going back next year, and anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this one up?
Nope.
All right. Thank you. Scotty will be back next week, I think, from his self-imposed exile. He'll be back. So if you missed him, you'll get to see his beautiful, shining Rockies hat. All right. Take care,
nice
everybody. Thanks for watching.
And he's bald, just so you guys know. Scott's
he
bald.
is. Mm-hmm.